The office had a strange calm that evening, the kind that comes right before something changes. Most employees had already left, their desks dark and quiet. But Daniel Harper was still there, finishing reports he didn't want to carry into the weekend. Outside the large windows, Chicago glowed with city lights, busy and alive, while inside the office, everything felt paused. Daniel didn't know it yet, but this was the last normal hour of his work life. Claire Whitman watched him from her glass-walled office. She had seen many employees come and go over the years, but Daniel was different. He worked with focus, spoke with honesty, and never tried to impress anyone. As his boss, she respected him. As a woman, she felt something she had tried hard to ignore tonight. She finally decided not to ignore it anymore. Claire stepped out of her office and walked toward Daniel's desk. Her heels sounded louder than usual in the quiet room. Daniel looked up, surprised but polite, and smiled. "Did you need something?" he asked. "Yes," Claire said. "Could you come to my office for a moment?" Her tone was calm, professional, but there was something else beneath it. Daniel felt it, even if he couldn't name it. He followed her inside and waited as she closed the door. Not sharply, but carefully, as if the sound mattered. She didn't sit right away. Instead, she stood near the window, looking out at the city. Daniel noticed her shoulders rise as she took a breath. "I'll get straight to the point," Claire said. "I don't like wasting time." Daniel nodded. That was true about her. She was always clear, always direct. "I've been asked to lead a new branch of the company," she continued. "In Vancouver. It's a big move, and it needs someone I trust." Daniel's mind shifted into work mode. This sounded serious, important. "That's great," he said. "Congratulations." "Thank you," she replied. Then she turned to face him. "I want you to come with me." Daniel froze. For half a second, the words sounded simple, but their weight wasn't. "You mean, as part of the team, yes," Claire said, "but not just that." She finally sat down, folding her hands together. Her eyes met his, steady but searching. Daniel felt a strange pressure in his chest. "You've seen how the company works?" she said. "You understand my vision. I don't want just an employee beside me there. I want a partner, someone I can rely on fully." Partner. The word echoed in his head. It could still mean business, he told himself. It had to mean business. Still, something about the way she said it made his thoughts race. "I'm honored," Daniel said carefully. "But this is a big step. Why me?" Claire didn't answer right away. She studied him as if choosing the right words mattered more than ever. "Because you're honest," she said. "Because you don't pretend. And because when things fall apart, you stay." Daniel didn't know how to respond. No boss had ever spoken to him like that. It felt less like praise and more like confession. "There's something else," Claire added. The room felt smaller suddenly. Daniel leaned back slightly, unsure why his heart was beating faster. "This move will change things," she said. "People will talk. They already do. And I don't. Want there to be secrets?" Daniel waited. "I'm married," Claire said quietly. "You know that?" "Yes," Daniel replied. Everyone knew that. Michael Whitman was often mentioned with respect, a man who stayed out of the spotlight. "I've spoken to my husband," she continued, "about you, about this offer." Daniel's breath caught. "About me?" "Yes," Claire said. "About my trust in you, about how close we work, about the future." The word future made Daniel uncomfortable. Not because he didn't care, but because he cared too much. He had always kept his distance, always reminded himself that she was his boss and married and unavailable in every way that mattered. "What did he say?" Daniel asked, his voice low. Claire looked down for a moment, then back up. "Aku?" He said yes. The silence that followed felt heavy, like a door closing somewhere far away. Daniel tried to understand what that yes meant, but it slipped through his thoughts like water. "Yes, to the transfer." He asked, Yes, to the move, Claire said. Yes to you coming with me. And yes to trusting me to figure out what this means. Daniel stood up without realizing it. Claire, I don't want to be part of something that hurts anyone. I know, she said softly. That's why I chose you. That answer didn't make things easier, made them harder. Daniel walked to the window, needing space, needing air. Below them, traffic moved on, unaware of the quiet storm inside that office. I need time, Daniel said. Of course, Claire replied. Take all the time you need. I just needed you to hear it from me first. Daniel nodded. He didn't trust himself to say more. As he left her office, he felt like he was stepping into a story he hadn't agreed to read. One that promised change, risk, and feelings he had buried for a long time. Behind him, Claire remained seated, staring at the closed door, wondering if honesty had come too late or too early. And somewhere across the city, a man named Michael Whitman sat alone. Believing that saying yes was the most loving thing he could do, even if it cost him everything. Daniel couldn't sleep that night. The office had been quiet, but his mind was loud. Claire's words echoed over and over. I want you to come with me, as my partner. My husband said yes. The sentence twisted inside him, exciting and frightening all at once. He wasn't sure what kind of partner she meant, but it didn't feel like just business. His chest tightened, thinking about Michael Whitman, Claire's husband, who had somehow agreed to this without anger, without jealousy, only with understanding. How could someone be so calm about something that felt impossible to him? Daniel tossed and turned, staring at the ceiling, imagining Vancouver, the new office, and the change waiting there. He wondered if he was ready for it, if he could handle the complicated web of emotions about to surround him. Claire, meanwhile, sat in her living room with Michael, glass of wine untouched in her hand. She had always admired Michael for his patience, his quiet strength, his ability to see clarity. When she told him about Daniel, she had prepared for a fight. She expected anger, frustration, or at least disappointment. Michael listened. He didn't interrupt, didn't scold, didn't question her motives. Instead, he asked simple, calm questions, the kind that cut to the truth. Does he make you feel alive again? That was all he asked. Claire realized in that moment that Michael understood her more than anyone else could. She hadn't known she needed someone to see the emptiness she hadn't named, the longing she hadn't admitted. Michael's eyes didn't hold judgment. They held trust. Daniel spent the next morning in a fog. The office was full, but he felt distant, as if watching everything through glass. Emails, meetings, phone calls, it all felt secondary. He kept thinking about Claire's proposal, about Michael's quiet acceptance. He couldn't understand it, and that made it more real, more dangerous. He remembered their last conversation. In her office, the way she had looked at him when she said partner. There was a pause before she added her husband had said yes. That pause, that moment of hesitation, had held the weight of unspoken emotion. Daniel kept replaying it in his mind, feeling both honored and terrified. At lunch, he walked past Michael Whitman's office in the Chicago building. He had only met Michael a few times, always polite, always reserved. But Daniel imagined him there, nodding slowly as Claire explained the plan. It was surreal. Daniel had never been part of something that involved another person's marriage, another person's trust. It wasn't about romance, at least it wasn't supposed to be. It was about work, ambition, and loyalty. Yet Daniel couldn't ignore the human part of it's a connection that might grow. The emotions waiting quietly, patient but intense. Claire prepared for the Vancouver move with meticulous care. She mapped out the office plan, scheduled meetings, and arranged housing. She also prepared mentally for the emotional complexity. She knew Daniel would struggle with boundaries. She knew Michael's quiet approval wouldn't erase the tension that could build between three people connected in such a delicate way. Still, she had made her choice. Claire trusted both men, each in their way. One understood her past and present. The other could become a partner in a way no one else could. And she believed the right decisions now could shape more than a business. They could shape lives. When Daniel finally responded to her offer, it was slow and thoughtful. He requested a private meeting, not in her office, but at a small coffee shop nearby. He wanted to speak openly, away from the formalities of work. Claire met him there, her calm presence like a lighthouse amid his storm of uncertainty. He explained that he respected Michael, that he wouldn't cross boundaries, and that he didn't want to make decisions that could hurt anyone. Claire listened, her eyes soft, her voice gentle. She reassured him that nothing was expected beyond professional collaboration, but that she believed he could handle both the responsibility and the subtle complexity. The decision wasn't simple. Daniel weighed the offer over days, imagining every scenario. He thought about the long flights, the new city, and the chance to lead projects with Claire in a place where the company had no history. He also imagined Michael's calm approval, and what it meant, how rare it was for someone to step aside and allow growth without resentment. He realized the opportunity wasn't just career-changing, it was life-changing. He imagined Vancouver's rain, the office lights glowing in the evening, the quiet moments between work, and the unspoken emotional tension that could exist without harm if he approached it carefully. Finally, he accepted. The meeting that followed back at the office was brief but intense. Claire smiled, relief and gratitude in her eyes. Daniel felt a strange mixture of pride and anxiety. They shook hands professionally, but neither could hide the awareness that something had shifted. The dynamic had changed. Vancouver wasn't just a new office. It was a test of character, emotion, and restraint. Both of them knew the work ahead would be challenging, not just in tasks and deadlines, but in keeping balance between ambition and personal boundaries. Michael watched from afar, content in his quiet way. He didn't need to interfere because he trusted Claire's judgment and Daniel's integrity. He had said yes, not out of convenience or obligation, but out of understanding of what Claire needed and what Daniel could provide. It wasn't an easy decision, but it was right, and that made it weighty, significant, and even a little emotional. It was rare to see someone act with trust instead of fear. And Michael understood that this choice reflected love, not insecurity. Packing for Vancouver, Claire felt a mixture of excitement and nerves. Daniel handled logistics efficiently, showing both competence and care. There were moments of awkwardness, small glances, subtle smiles, and quiet understanding that neither could fully name. Michael sent them off with a reassuring text, short, but meaningful. Take care of what you need to. We'll figure the rest together. That message hung in their minds as they boarded the plane. A reminder that boundaries, respect, and trust would guide them. By the time they landed in Vancouver, Daniel and Claire had settled into a rhythm. The office was new, the team untested, and the city unfamiliar, but there was energy in the change. Every meeting, every discussion, every shared decision built both professional trust and emotional connection. Daniel noticed small things: how Claire smiled when a plan worked, how her eyes softened when discussing her husband, how careful she was to respect boundaries. He understood now that the true challenge wasn't just work, it was navigating human hearts with care, empathy, and honesty. That the first week passed in a blur of introductions, office tours, and strategy sessions. Daniel felt the weight of responsibility and the subtle pull of something more, something delicate. He didn't know if it was attraction, admiration, or respect mixed with curiosity. All he knew was that every choice mattered, every word could tip the balance, and the presence of Michael's understanding approval made restraint not just necessary but meaningful. He realized that love, trust, and ambition could coexist, but only if handled with care, honesty, and emotional awareness. By the end of the second week, Daniel and Claire had shared quiet dinners, long discussions about company strategy, and personal moments that were brief but intense. They laughed, debated, and sometimes sat in silence, both aware of the subtle emotional tension. Neither crossed lines, but both acknowledged the depth of feeling growing quietly. Michael's silent support remained a guiding force in their minds. A reminder that trust could be stronger than desire, and understanding stronger than jealousy. Daniel couldn't explain the mix of emotions, pride, guilt, curiosity, excitement, but he knew he was learning something important, that relationships were more than labels, that trust and respect could be revolutionary, and that a husband's quiet yes could make all the difference in the world. The story of Vancouver, of Claire, Daniel, and Michael was just beginning. But already it held the intensity, emotion, and drama of lives intersecting in ways that demanded careful hearts and strong integrity. And somewhere in the quiet of Vancouver, evenings, Daniel realized that what mattered most wasn't what could happen, it was how they chose to handle it. Boundaries, honesty, and emotional truth would guide them. And that understanding made every decision, every glance, every conversation both thrilling and fragile. He didn't yet know the challenges ahead, but he knew one thing: this wasn't just about business anymore. 'Twas about human hearts, carefully navigating trust, respect, and longing.